Welcome to Departure Delayed, the podcast that explains the hidden side of the longevity equation in quantum state anti-aging, where we always ask the question, how can my final departure date from this world be delayed? Your host is Brian Gangle, holistic health professional, owner and founder of New Millennium Living Limited, and Canada's QRA expert.
Brian Gangle is not a medical doctor. No medical claims are being stated, and the information and education presented is for personal research and investigational purposes only. This information has not been evaluated by Health Canada, the FDA, the FTC, or the USDA, and is not intended to diagnose, cure, treat, or prevent any disease.
Today, Brian will be answering nutritional and health-related questions to help you unravel those mysteries behind biological aging. You will learn a new vocabulary for the natural healing, and he will share his 21 years of experience of teaching, training, coaching, and motivating others to live beyond a normal life.
Please consult your medical doctor or healthcare professional before beginning any new health program or taking any dietary supplements. Seek guidance regarding any contraindications if you happen to be taking any medical drugs.
And now, on with today's program.
Hi everybody, Brian Gangle here from Departure Delayed. Welcome to today's special report on brain health. You know, I'm a board-certified integrated medicine practitioner, honorary doctorate of humanitarian services, brand ambassador for Premier Research Labs Canada, Canadian diplomat for the Quantum Research Council, certified QRA master instructor, president of the Quantum Health Science Summits, clinical director at Neptune's Landing, and awarded the Order of Excellence in Health Education in 2018 by the World Organization of Natural Medicine. Welcome aboard. If you're new to Departure Delayed, make sure you hit that notification bell and subscribe so that you can be the first on the block to get this great information. And if you're an avid listener, welcome back. We've got a very special episode for you. You know what? You really should come on out to one of our live events. And oh my goodness, have we got some great anti-aging events for you happening in Markham, Ontario, Canada, 2019. It is our Life Frequency series. This is a continuing education series. And what we do is we have 6 evenings, convenient Tuesday evening events. They start at 7:30 p.m. at the Markham Hilton Suites and Convention Center, and we're going to be kicking it off on Tuesday, October 15th, with a clinical focus on the biological electrical field and energetic healing methods. On the 22nd of October 2019, it's our clinical focus on heavy metals, dental detoxification, and neurodegeneration. And then on October 29th, it's our Vastu Masterclass. On November 5th, we have a clinical focus on healing with lasers, lights, and sound vibration. On the 12th of November, it's a clinical focus on skin therapies and our anti-aging blockbuster. And on the 19th, it's our clinical focus on healing with muds, oils, ancient arts, followed by our gala celebration and our very famous supplement garage sale. All this, you can get all the details over at eventbrite.com. Just key into the search menu, Life Frequencies. It will take you right there. These classes are only $59 each. You can purchase all 6 classes for only $195. I will be there, and at each of the evenings, we are going to have one special guest appearance doing a lecture. We're going to have one workshop, one module. I promise it's going to be a drink from the fire hose. You're going to absolutely love it. These events are open to everyone in the general public. Life Frequencies. Come on out and join us. Let's dive into today's special report on brain health. Well, first and foremost, we have to understand that all the tissue in the human body is susceptible to neurodegeneration. This is part of the article that was written by my mentor, Dr. Robert Marshall, PhD, and he said especially nerve tissue. The process is simply called neurodegeneration. Typical examples of neurodegenerative diseases which are afflicting millions around the world are Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis known as ALS, multiple sclerosis known as MS, and a whole host of symptoms which lead to impaired brain and nerve functioning, such as symptomology of memory, cognition, attention span, learning ability, and physical incompetence. The number of lives affected by this neurodegenerative tsunami that is coming our way, and the frequency of occurrence is such a high rate right now that ultimately it's going to be a major source of physical and mental debilitation for millions around the world. So understanding this process and making intelligent decisions, including dietary, nutraceutical, and life choices, are going to mean the difference between continuing a good quality of life or a gradual loss of function and unchecked neurodegenerative processes. Now, the brain, as we know, has been divided up and examined many different ways. I love the Brodmann area of the map. It's called the brain map, and you can find wonderful examples of this on the internet. Brodmann is spelled Brodmann, and it divides the brain into 4 central quadrants: a frontal lobe, known for thinking, planning, and central execution functions; the parietal lobe for, of course, perception, integration of visual information; the temporal lobe for things like language and auditory perception, long-term memory and emotions; and the occipital lobe, which is for visual perception and processing. Now, this occipital lobe in particular is a point upon QRA presentation, if it was to test weak, would give us some clue that there may be neurodegeneration or runaway free radical pathology. And we talk a lot about free radicals at some of our previous episodes here at Departure Delayed. Go back and listen to some of those on the antioxidants, and I think it'll give you a clue what we're talking about here. Now, the nervous tissue itself is really composed of 2 different types of cells: neurons and support cells. The neurons function to transmit impulses throughout the body. The support cells function to provide support for the neurons. And if you take a look at it on a very large map and you explode this model a little bit larger, you see that what you have is the dendrite. The dendrite is almost like a little octopus squiddy which adheres itself to the next little neuron. And in the center of the dendrite is its nucleus, its heart of the DNA. It's connected to the end, or the axon terminal, which connects to the next little neuron. And so this is the front end, and then the axon is the back end. And in between is a pipeline. This is called the axon, AXON, and this is where the node where they connect, almost like links of sausages. And inside each of these little sausages, collecting the front end and the back end, the dendrite and the axon, is the Schwann cell, spelled SCHWANN cell. And coating each one of these little sausages, if you will, is the myelin sheathing. It's the myelin sheathing that starts to come unwound or unbound, and then exposes the electrical circuit between the dendritic cell and the axon terminal. And when this happens, we have a loss of the electrical signal, a loss of electricity, and that's what leads to the beginning of the neurodegenerative process, is when the body becomes exposed to certain elements, environmental, dietary, chemical insults, which can destroy the myelin sheathing, leading to runaway neurodegeneration. Now, this wonderful article called The Overlooked Role of Infection in Neurodegeneration, written by Dr. Robert Marshall, PhD, really took a look at a number of different factors here. First, it looked at the overlooked role of infection or immune-specific concerns as the primary driving force in all chronic neurodegenerative diseases in his experience. It looked at the necessity of eliminating these chronic infections to achieve complete remission if it was possible. Increasing the susceptibility of infection due to widespread nutritional deficiencies, including a 50% reduction in the antioxidant signature and content of the food in just the last 35 years, and the consumption of hydrogenated oils containing foods which can weaken cellular membrane. It looked at how to rapidly reduce infection risk by eliminating these nutritional deficiencies and supplying powerful antioxidants, which can help to quench and put out the fire of free radicals. It looked at identifying specific nutraceutical agents to counteract over 50 known degeneration compounds in the body, and identifying whole foods and specific nutrient sources to provide protection for the brain. This was a wonderful, wonderful article. And we examined the way that free radicals become such and how antioxidants can donate an electron and help to stabilize an unhealthy pair of electrons. In other words, if you have a triad of electrons, it's considered stable. For example, aluminum trioxide is an element which is stable and doesn't cause any issues in the body. But aluminum dioxide is a very different enchilada. It's only 2 electrons looking for a third to hook up. And what it does is, in the body, it can borrow another electron from another triad, creating runaway free radical pathology, a cascading effect. Antioxidants help to donate electrons and stabilize by giving the extra electron and donating it. And although there are many factors that can play a role in the initiation of neurodegeneration, 2 forces are definitely runaway free radical pathology and, second, excitotoxicity. Excitotoxins, for those of you who don't know, are compounds which are chemical in nature and can cause an exciting of the actual cells and actually excite the cell to death and destroying the neurons. Things like MSG, monosodium glutamate, for instance. These things, an aspartate. These compounds are very well known and have a lot of research to show that they can create excitotoxicity in the human body. Now, many other factors will come into play, and so we need to take a look at many of these problems. And some of them are definitely going to be the parasitic equation, bacteria and virus, and of course, mycoplasma. We're not going to go into these neurodegenerative promoting agents one by one. We're going to just give you an overview here because we don't have enough time to cover everything in this wonderful report. Needless to say that what Dr. Marshall had discovered is that the parasitic equation was resolved in many cases with a herb from India called Holarina antidysenterica. It had a very powerful case history behind it in helping to resolve the parasitic problem, which many of the common nutrients that are available over the counter simply were ineffectual. In terms of bacteria and virus, we looked at the medicinal mushrooms like Coriolis and Maitake and reishi, and legendary herbs like olive leaf and the active component of garlic called allicin. And when it came to this unique problem of mycoplasma, this was helped and resolved with this wonderful herb called hyssop. So these were some of the discoveries that have been lost over the years, but now have been rediscovered, and research is now underway to show its wonderful effect on all of these different types of problems. Now, the gene deck has now been elucidated, and in elucidating the Human Genome Project, it showed that up to 1/3 of the genes were thought to be junk genes. But now, thanks to the Human Genome Project, we have discovered that up to 1/3 of the genes can be virus-containing genes. And chemical insult to the gene deck can express or turn on, if you will, an unhealthy gene sequence. Wonderful studies which are now available to us, which simply were science fiction just 10 years ago, things like 23andMe, which can help you to elucidate your own gene deck. And now they're allowing you to take a look at things like the APO3E gene, which we know now can initiate a very powerful chemical reaction called amyloids, beta amyloids. And beta amyloids can actually coat parts of the neurons and of the dendritic cells in the brain with a coating which can actually destroy or prevent the electrical transmission of very powerful brain signals, causing impairment of normal brain functioning. And these beta amyloids can be a critical initiation of a runaway free radical pathology, and of course can damage the delicate myelin sheathing. Think of the myelin sheathing as the coating on an electrical cord in your house. And without that protective coating, the wires would be bare and the electrical signal may short circuit. Similar process can happen in the human brain. And so now these incredible studies that are available to millions of us now at a very economical price can help us to find out which of these genes have been expressed in the human body with very high accuracy, I might add. So I highly recommend going to the 23andMe website and having one of these diagnostics done. I think it's going to be a wonderful adjunct to understanding what's going on inside your own human body. And of course, wonderful mushrooms, which are going to be the constituent of medicine of the 21st century. Things like the incredible maitake, the king of mushrooms, prized in ancient times for helping with miraculous results, especially with boosting heart function and brain function and healthy weight and fat levels and promoting immune function and neurological competence, because it helps with any immune-specific concern, especially on the brain and nervous tissue. So always consult a qualified clinical practitioner or medical practitioner who can guide you in using these very powerful agents. Seek out a qualified QRA practitioner in your area who can help to test you for nutritional imbalances in the body. QRA is known as quantum reflex analysis. And if you drop me a line to bgangel777@gmail.com, I'll be glad to put you in touch with a clinical nutritionist in your area who can guide you in this amazing process. And of course, we have to also look at injuries, scars, and traumas, which can initiate a blockage, energetically speaking, in the body's meridians and prevent critical energy, nutrients, and transmission of energy through key points in the body, and can actually reflex or sedate specific organ and gland systems, as discovered by ancient acupuncture. And of course, QRA practitioners are very proficient at seeking out these pesky interference fields, as they're known. Now, I want to go into some of the 3 basic brain support nutrients, which I really am a big fan of. First and foremost, I absolutely am in love with DHA, docosic hexanoic acid. This is the finished oil from a vegetarian source, actually microalgae, and not from the fish. I always ask myself, where did the fish get this wonderful oil, which is loaded with, omega-3, 6, 9 fatty acids, and EPA and DHA? Well, they get it from, of course, other smaller fish, and then eventually from the microscopic fish in the water, and of course then you get it from the microscopic oils and the algae. So, of course, taking the natural source from the mother of all of the sources, the microalgae, is going to provide you key omega-3 fatty acids that are important for the nervous system, the eyes, the cardiovascular, and of course, the brain. And when you take a look at some of the studies that were done with this guy, and you can go to PubMed and take a look at the benefits of docosic hexanoic acid, DHA, and you're going to see that it's been helpful for learning deficits, of course, the cardiovascular system, and of course, all different types of brain issues. So this has been a very well-studied product. But it is dose dependent. And the body requires 1 to 5 grams of this oil to have a therapeutic effect. Now, each capsule contains up to 200 milligrams. Therefore, the therapeutic dose is between 5 and 25 capsules. And of course, that's going to be case, weight, and age dependent. Always start with the lowest dose, and you can slowly build up. And I like to take them all at one time with my largest protein meal of the day. The capsules are good. You can spit them out if you want the oil, but if you can also swallow the capsules, can't do you any harm. But I got to tell you, when you get that oil into you, not only is it incredible for all the functions we discussed, but also very powerful as an anti-inflammatory as well. So kind of 2 bangs for your buck here. Another guy is lecithin. And lecithin, you can get it in what's called the Leci granules. And this guy is from a natural source from soy, and it contains all of the critical phosphatidyls. Now, those of you who don't know what phosphatidyls are, these are key complexes for optimal brain and nerve functioning. And in one in particular, the phosphatidylethanolamine is really important. And, if you take out just 8 grams of the soy lecithin, which is the equivalent of about 1 tablespoon 2 times a day, and you can just sprinkle it into your food or into your smoothies, into your sauces and stews as well, it'll provide you almost 1,000 milligrams of the phosphatidylethanolamine. Now, the ethanolamine is important for cell membrane integrity, and it helps to prevent the bad boys from being able to enter into the cell, but does allow the good oils and nutrients to penetrate in and help nourish the cells, especially the cells in the brain. My grandmother had a wonderful source of ethanolamine. She would always give us duck eggs. And the duck egg or the goose egg, the yolk turns out to be a very rich source of the phosphatidyl ethanolamine. Other key nutrients which I love is this product from Premier Research Labs Canada called Cereven. Now, Cereven is spelled Cereven. And if you want to get any of these critical nutrients, just drop me a line, bgangel777@gmail.com. That's my email address, bgangel777@gmail.com. And I'll be glad to get you in touch with these incredible compounds. Now, the Cereven is really in a class of its own as it provides incredible brain and limbic support. It contains some calcium and some magnesium to help you move your pH levels, and we talk all about pH at some of our episodes over at our sister podcast, Nutrition That Really Works. But it also contains 3 combination formulas. First, IQ Pro, which contains the rhodiola, the fermented cordyceps, the mycelial extract, and of course the phospholipids. And also an incredible compound called alpha-glycerol phosphatidylcholine. I'll come back to that one in a minute. And it also has one of the world's only plant source of nirvanic acid from the Macaranga adenatha plant. We also get the second combination, which is the Neurosynergy, which contains some marine coral, some incredible organic turmeric, gets you the rhizomes, and the prickly pear, known also as the Apunja cactus. These guys are wonderful because they work with these adaptogens in the IQ Pro formula. They work with them to give more transporters, cofactors, and synergy, hence the name Neurosynergy. And then finally, NeuroCleanse, which contains the milk thistle, of course, the organic chlorella, and the amazing olive leaf extract, the oleuropein. So those guys help to cleanse the liver, gallbladder, and also help with the detoxification of other compounds in the body which could express unhealthy cells. You'll get the IQ Pro, the Neurosynergy, and the NeuroCleanse, all of those in the incredible Cereven. But I wanted to talk to you about the alpha-glycerol phosphatidylcholine, known as alpha-GPC for short. This is a natural form of the choline that's found in the brain. And I got to tell you, this guy is very powerful in many studies for Alzheimer's disease and dementias. And it rapidly delivers the choline to the brain across the blood-brain barrier and biosynthesis. And it is a biosynthetic precursor to acetylcholine. And this is a non-prescription drug in most countries, and of course in the United States and Canada, it is classified as generally accepted as safe, what's called GRAS. And there is many studies and clinical citations showing efficacy. In fact, studies have investigated the efficacy of the alpha-GPC for cognitive disorders, including stroke and Alzheimer's disease. And in an Italian multi-center clinic, there was a trial of 2,044 patients suffering from a recent stroke were supplied with the alpha-GPC in doses of 1,000 milligrams a day for 28 days and 400 milligrams 3 times a day for the 5 ensuing months. The trial confirmed the therapeutic role of the alpha-GPC on the cognitive recovery of patients based on 4 measurement scales, 3 of which reached significance in their statistics. And the common uses daily are between 300 and 1,200 milligrams daily. So this turns out to be a very powerful agent for helping with neurodegeneration. The sugar connection. High dietary intake of simple sugars, especially fructose, can lead to something called glycation in a number of the protein cells in the body, especially the brain. Glycation is the process of a protein molecule binding to a sugar molecule. And in fact, once combined, the sugar and the proteins can fuse together to create free radical damage and then form advanced glycation end products, affectionately known as AGEs. And we discuss some of the nutraceutical compounds which can combat this AGEs at some of our previous episodes at Departure Delayed. And also, we talk about green tea and the power of green tea over at our sister podcast, Limitless Energy. And you will find that the AGEs will interfere with tyrosine, a powerful amino acid, and dopamine, a powerful precursor chemical in the brain, in the utilization of this, not just for the brain, but also for the adrenals and the thyroid. And for this reason, patients with any type of neurodegenerative diseases should not consume foods that contain refined sugars or fructose. You know, you're going to learn a lot more about this stuff if you come on out to our live events, and we have our Life Frequency Continuing Education classes kicking off on Tuesday, October 15th, 2019, with a 7:30 start time, and we have 6 classes all on Tuesday evenings consecutively on the 15th, the 22nd, and the 29th of October, and November 5, 12, and 19. Each evening is 3 hours with a different theme, and you will learn so much about, of course, not just neurodegeneration, but how the human body works, and of course, how to increase your own health and how to push back the dragon of aging. Until next time, I am your anti-aging guru, Brian Gangle, from bgangel.com, wishing blessings to you all, and don't you dare forget your final departure date